David Hockney, and the painting behind us is a portrait of an artist, Pool with Two Figures. It's from 1972 and one of the masterpieces of the artist's output. It was the cover of the catalog for the Tate retrospective, as well as where it travels to the Centre Pompidou in Paris, and also to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. It was the subject matter of a great film that was created, A Bigger Splash, and is probably the most iconic and most broadly exhibited and reproduced painting by the artist. David Hockney is an artist that was born obviously in England, but moved to California. In the Western world, is broadly seen as one of the most talented and prolific artists of the 20th and 21st century. He has an incredible eye to photography, printmaking, painting, and you can see how he's combined all of those styles in this painting. And I think what makes this painting particularly special is that the pools are the most desirable in the connoisseurs of David Hockney, but so are the landscapes. And here you have the two figures, and this two-figure style. There's only 8 paintings that were made, but you have the artist here, and also Peter Schlesinger, who was one of the great loves of his life. And it was created in the aftermath of their breakup in 1971. If you look at the way that the water is rendered, you can see how simple the brushstrokes are, and yet it has that effect, that ephemeral effect of movement in the water. That's taken from his ways of seeing in photography, looking at old masters. You see that kind of disconnect between the two, even though the subject of Peter here has his eyes closed as he's looking down. The artist is underneath the water. Literally, the emotions are beneath the surface, where you cannot breathe, you cannot hear, you cannot see. And yet there is this tension between the two figures. And it's a deeply emotional painting created again after their breakup in 1971. This painting is from a series of 8 large format double portrait paintings. This one is particularly unique in that it is of the artist. Most are in museum collections. It is an extremely rare object, one that we thought would just go into a museum collection and would never have actually come to the auction market. When you have a painting like this in your home, you want to make sure that it's visually lasting. And I think that if one were to wake up every morning to this painting, you'd see new layers and new elements, not only based on the color, the composition, the idea of the universe that he's created here. What's interesting is that this composition was actually built off of 2 separate photographs. Initially, there was just a man swimming underneath the water, and there was a boy looking off into the distance. And he gravitated to these 2 images from his archives and looked for ways to combine those 2 images. And that's the beauty of painting in terms of being able to combine the imagination. I think that he really taps into that emotional space, that psychic space, in terms of wanting to solve the mystery in front of the painting. And it brings people back to the picture, continuing to look and investigate. And there's so many layers of meaning or possibilities of interpretation here.